Attention.
Region Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's your team ready? Who's your team ready? Yes, sir.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another episode of the Ragin' Review podcast. Nick flying solo this afternoon. Hello, everyone. You'll have to look at my beautiful face for a little bit. That was interesting. Louisiana falls to Jacksonville State by a score of 34-31. Cajuns having zero offense for the first half of the game. Got a little bit going in the second half. And you kind of felt it when you went into the last drive that we had in that ball game. Kind of felt after we allowed Jacksonville State to score with a quarterback that came into the game after he had been knocked out. We knew he couldn't run. So, of course, we let him pass the ball right in the middle of the field for a touchdown. You kind of felt at that point we were in trouble. And you kind of felt like all of the momentum that you built up in the second half went away with that one play. Of course, I think we go 3 and out on that next drive. I'd have to go back and look at the play-by-play there. But unimpressive drive after we allowed Jacksonville State to score late in the fourth, and then that was it. The rest was history. I think a few people on the X app noted that we had no chance to win going into overtime. Kind of felt that way, didn't it? Kind of felt like we had really no momentum going into overtime, and really questionable play call as we got the ball first in overtime. And then we decide to have Chandler toss the ball to Peter LeBlanc to attempt to pass downfield. Haven't done that all season. We decided to try that in the first play of overtime. Of course, go 3 and out. Kenny misses the kick. Not going to put that on Kenny, man. I mean, we shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, to be honest with you. Should not have even been in that predicament. But we put Kenny in that predicament. Of course, he comes up short. And unfortunately, then that was the nail in the coffin right there. You just knew that a kid who hadn't kicked at all this season was going to come in and win the game for Jacksonville State, who before tonight or maybe before the past month, didn't even know Jacksonville State was not in the state of Florida. So there you go. But in the end, Cajuns dropped this one 34-31. I'll go over some statistics, and then we'll take your comments. If you're in the Twitter space, please request to speak. I see Jerry just hopped on. So let's go through some stats for the passing game for Jacksonville State. Webb was 14 for 26, 156 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Of course, he got injured early in the second half. Smothers came in. He managed them okay. 6 for 9, 80 yards, 1 interception. In total, 4 turnovers. Cajuns were +4 in the turnover battle and still managed to lose. Yeah. Unbelievable. Rushing attack for Jacksonville State was effective. Wiggins had 27 attempts for 126 yards and 1 TD. Webb, quarterback, who I was worried about, by the way. I was worried about Webb burning us on the ground game as well as with his arm. Well, that came into fruition. He ended up with 70 yards of rushing. Smothers, who is not known for running the ball, managed 39 yards and 1 TD. All in all, just not very impressive. And it's, I'm not going to put that on the defense. Maybe we can. I mean, there were some points in that game where I could have put it on the defense, but we had 3 yards of offense in the first half. I mean, it was dreadful. We could not move the ball in the first half. Play calling was atrocious. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But I'm getting away from the stats. Sorry about that. Louisiana passing rather. Chandler Fields, 13 for 26, 155 yards. Did not look comfortable. He had some good passes later in the game, but all in all, he looked a little bit uncomfortable, especially in the first half. Managed to put together a couple of good drives. I'm going to mention this again. Peter LeBlanc in the passing game, 0 for 1. Don't know what that was all about. I'm sure we'll get into that later. Rushing attack, Draylon Washington, 16 attempts, 73 yards. Good night for him. Davis was really getting some momentum behind him. He had 29 yards of rushing. And then we decided to not run him anymore after that point. In the receiving game for Jacksonville State, Lane had 86 yards of receiving, long of 23. Carter, 69 yards of receiving, long of 33. Wells, 34 yards of receiving, long of 26. They broke off some big plays, gentlemen and ladies. For Louisiana, Carter had 30 yards of receiving. He was targeted 3 times with a long of 20. Williams was impressive tonight, 34 yards in the air, as well as Pierce Meagle. Good to see those guys involved. When we did pass the ball, we spread it around. Neil Johnson, Jacob Bernard, Peter LeBlanc, Harvey Broussard. Broussard was a little bit disappointing tonight, and I'm not going to put that on Harvey. As I said earlier, I felt like Chandler was a little uncomfortable back there tonight. But did target Harvey a couple of times. Maybe a couple of those passes could have been caught. But all in all, just offensively, until sometime in the third quarter, we finally started putting it together. But let's talk about comparing stats between the two teams right now, because this is really where it's embarrassing. Total yards of offense for Jacksonville State, 526 yards of total offense. For Louisiana, 247. They rushed for nearly 300 yards on us, 236 yards in the air. Penalties were pretty even. We each had about 20 yards in penalties. Third down conversions, Jacksonville State was 10 for 24. Louisiana 5 for 16. And the biggest stat to me that made a difference tonight, on fourth down, Jacksonville State was 5 of 6. Could not stop their little tush-push play. Couldn't stop them on fourth down tonight. And, of course, Jacksonville State in the red zone, 5 for 5. Louisiana, 2 for 2. And as I was worried about the quick offense, the quick pace offense, a couple of times we got caught with too many guys on the field, and we paid for that tonight. So, again, Louisiana drops this game 34-31 to Jacksonville State. Very chippy. I don't know which side was a little more aggressive. Of course, I'm a homer. I'm going to say it's Jacksonville State. They look like they were in our face a little bit. A couple of times it looked like Dalen Cambry had a guy and he told him to go sit his ass down on their sideline. But chippy game. And again, I don't quite know what we were trying for in that game. But whatever it was, did not work. Jerry, I know you're on your way back from New Orleans. I see that you requested a co-host. I'm hoping I can get this thing working, Jerry. So go ahead and start talking, and let's see if we can hear you. Sorry, man. I'm not hearing you. I apologize for that. I'm still having some technical difficulties here. I'm going to try to work that out, man. I know you can hear me. I just can't hear you. So I'm going to try to work on that a little bit. So just bear with us, folks. While we do that, while I try to work this out, let's thank our sponsors very quickly. This will give us a good chance to get things fixed up on the technical side. So bear with us for about 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining Rage and Review for another weekly episode. We'd just like to encourage you to patronize our great sponsors like Dr. Brett Venable and Recovery Chiro Med. Have you been in a car accident or hurt yourself lifting on the job? Are you having neck pain or back pain, but really don't want to deal with a long, drawn-out process? Then call the chiropractor Raging Cajun athletes use for their neck and back pain, Dr. Brett Venable. The bottom line is, you just need to feel better. You need to get better quickly. That's where Dr. Brett Venable comes in to make all the difference. Dr. Venable and his integrated team of rehab, chiropractic, and medical doctors have 3 locations in Acadiana to serve you: Opelousas, New Iberia, and of course, main office in Lafayette. Dr. Brett Venable is one of very few chiropractors recognized by the state of Louisiana as a chiropractic specialist. He is also the only chiropractor in the Cajuns Healthcare Alliance and the only chiropractor on the board at Tulane School of Professional Advancement. Before you start to stress about the process, remember, this is exactly why you pay for car insurance. These situations are exactly why you carry workman's comp. There's no need for a court date. Your first call should be to Dr. Brett Venable and his great team at Recovery Chiro Med. No hassle, no waiting, and quick relief. Come and find out what our Raging Cajun athletes and over 10,000 Acadiana residents already know. For more information, call the Lafayette office at 337-988-2188 or visit recoverychiromed.com. recoverychiromed.com. We'd like to thank Dr. Brett Venable for being an RCAF member and the exclusive chiropractic sponsor of the Raging Review podcast. Also, a huge thank you to Absolutely Embroidery and More. We know how much Cajun Nation loves their gear. At Raging Review, we get our gear from Miss Phyllis Thibodeau and the team at Absolutely Embroidery and More. Absolutely has a massive inventory of Raging Cajun apparel to choose from. If you can't find something you like, Absolutely can make something you'll like right there in the shop. And if your creation proves to be a popular item with customers, Absolutely will give you a little incentive for helping out with the cause. Bring in your vermilion and white shirts, hats, shorts, socks, dresses, jackets, sweaters, or whatever garment you need to represent the Cajuns. Absolutely also offers customized embroidery services to promote your business on hats, polos, uniforms, etc. Absolutely rounds out the collection with an assortment of exciting accessories for the lady Cajuns in your life. Earrings, headbands, bracelets, clutches, and bags are just a few options to complete her spicy look. Pass by 3010 Collie Saloon Road in Lafayette and see the wonderful ladies at Absolutely Embroidery and More today. They'll treat you to quality Cajun clothing, complimentary gourmet cookies, and a friendly conversation. And if you're an out-of-town Raging Cajun, visit them on the web at absolutelyembroideryandmore.com or visit their social channels on Instagram or Facebook. There, you'll find pictures of what the ladies are putting on the shelves in real time. Once again, folks, please support local businesses and please support businesses that support the Raging Cajuns and especially the Raging Review podcast.
Thanks once again to our fine sponsors once again this week. And I did get the technical difficulties sorted out. So Jerry has joined us from on the road in New Orleans. Jerry, man, I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm glad you joined because I was out of words, man.
Well, I'm glad I can join you, but I know what to say. We just lost to an FCS call-up on national TV, and we just secured our second straight losing season. That's what I'm going to say. I can't sit here and sugarcoat this. I thought we played poorly in the first half. There's really nothing redeeming about what I saw offensively. I thought defensively, I mean, really, if it weren't for the defense keeping us in the game with the 3 defensive touchdowns, no telling what the score could have been. They doubled up on us on total offense. There was just overall, Rich Rodriguez took us to school, man. Coaching wise, schematically, we could not stop their run. They had just as much. They had probably about over 200 yards of rushing offense to our 92. I mean, just overall, they doubled us in everything. And it's just hard to lose a game like this. And, especially to a team that didn't even, I mean, really, they weren't even bowl eligible until the technicalities of all these teams not being able to get in. But, they got in. I said last week, I'm petrified to lose this game. We cannot lose this game. And not only did we lose, but I felt like in many cases we didn't show up to play for the most part. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of down right now after what I saw in that Superdome.
And you were talking about Rich Rodriguez out scheming us. You saw it defensively for Jacksonville State because they didn't necessarily have more talent on the field. In fact, I think we had the most talent on the field tonight. But the scheming and the different looks they gave you, it's reminiscent of what Napier's teams, what we did defensively a couple of years ago when we may not have been as talented in his early years. Now, of course, we built up our defense after that, but in the early years, we were doing a lot of things schematically to try to balance that lack of talent that we had on the field. That seems what Jacksonville State did. And again, our answer to that in overtime was to give Peter LeBlanc the ball to pass. That blows my mind, Jerry.
But that's terrible play calling. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it summed it up. This game summed it up for me. You got Bill Davis and Dre Washington sharing carries in the fourth quarter. We are gashing them for 4 or 5 yards a carry. We get to their 21-yard line, and what do we do, Nick?
Pass the ball.
2nd and 1, you call 2 straight pass plays. I mean, right then and there, I knew at that point we're probably not going to win tonight because of that terrible play calling. And so I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it again. It's frustrating because at the end of the day, we just lost to an FCS call-up who technically should not even be in a bowl game right now. They got in by technicality. So it's just, I mean, there's something better give this offseason because right now, I mean, you just lost. I mean, I think there's a lot of fans that have pretty much given up. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, man.
Jalen Clark had a great game. I don't have to say it. Jalen Clark had a great game.
Three defensive touchdowns, Nick. I mean, what would the score be without our defense today?
And that's where I was going with it. I mean, Casey Osai was a monster. He was all over the field. And you were +4 in the turnover battle, man. And the fact that we were +3 going into halftime and we were tied was a bad omen. It was a bad omen because if you can't offensively put up points on the board in the first half, you have to rely on your defense to do that for you. And you're tied at the half after being up 3 turnovers. That's not a good sign of things to come. 4 turnovers, you should be blowing out the other team. And despite that, we allowed 500 yards of total offense for Jacksonville State. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that our offense was on the field for so much of the first half and really for the entire game. So, of course, they're going to get gassed in the later parts of the game. But you knew going into overtime. In fact, like I said, you knew after Jacksonville State tied it up, we were in deep trouble. And it happened.
Yeah, and what makes it worse is, I mean, we still had a chance to make a stop on 4th down, 4th and 3, and then they beat us on man coverage in the slot, scored a touchdown to tie it. And, I mean, one of the more frustrating things is we talk about prevent defense. The prevent defense has cost us more games than it has helped us this year. And we go back to the prevent defense, and then you look at the difference. I mean, let's be real, Nick. We get the ball back with a little over a minute to go. And on 3rd down, they had Jacksonville State's defense. What do? The complete opposite. They go after Chandler and they sack him for a loss of 13 on the play to force us to punt. So that's just the difference between aggressive play calling and playing not to lose. Jacksonville State played aggressive to win. We played not to lose, and that's why they're holding up the New Orleans Bowl trophy, and we're going back home with a 6-7 record for the 2nd year in a row.
Especially when you know that the guy in the game can't run. Okay, he can't run. He's not going to beat you with his legs, and we're playing 10 yards off of the receivers. I don't get it, and we're not. There was no sense of urgency at that point, and Jacksonville State had it, regardless of the fact that they were trying to come from behind and beat us. When we got the ball back after they scored, there was still that sense of urgency to not let us even get to midfield, and we had nothing. We had no response to that. And I feel tonight, it felt like a microcosm of the entire season. This feels like how our entire season went. You have a little bit of hope, then they take it away from you, and then we come back and look like we were going to just blow them out, and then we let them come back. And that feels like our schedule has gone because, you started it off and you felt like you had some momentum, and then you look at the Buffalo game and you're like, what the hell, the end of that game, what was that? And then you drop a couple games and you come back and win. It was very up and down, just like tonight's game, man. And it ended tonight. The way the game ended tonight is, again, a microcosm of the entire season. It's how the entire season went. So look, credit again to Jacksonville State. They came out to play. I knew they would be a little hyped up. They showed it in both their chippiness and their ability to just come after us defensively. I thought they were very, very impressive defensively. And again, offensively, I mean, look at what they did to us tonight.
No, I agree with that. And plus, they played aggressive. Again, we're playing not to lose defensively. We play that goofy prevent defense. They gashed us on that last drive to get down to the 13-yard line, and they still score on fourth down. And, what do they do when it's our turn to get the ball back? They blitz. I mean, they basically throw Chandler off. I mean, they every time Chandler went back to throw, there was a safety in his face. That's the difference between a coaching staff who has confidence in his team to make the play and a coaching staff that coaches scared. They didn't coach scared. We did. And that's why, again, we are walking out with a loss.
Yeah. And really odd when we put Hudson back in at center. He had trouble with the snaps tonight, man. And I don't know if that was rust. I don't know if, I know Jacksonville State was being very aggressive. So I'm sure him not playing a little while affected that. But man, some of those snaps to Chandler were just not great. Chandler did a hell of a job with the snaps, and I'm sure that threw him off as well, even though he was able to save the snaps. But that was scary, especially going towards the end of the game. I think he might have dropped one of those bad snaps, and thankfully we recovered. But that could have been absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, look, Chandler. I mean, there were sometimes Chandler saved us from disaster in many ways. With the snaps and with the muff snaps, some of the fumbles. I mean, it was tough to watch, and I think what made it more difficult to watch is the fact that in the first half we couldn't really do anything offensively. That was hard to watch because, you look at what we did against Troy, Southern Miss, and ULM, and let's be honest, we scored anywhere from 20 to over 30 points in those three games, and then today offensively we scored 13 points on this team. That was it. Or no, 10 points. I think we scored 10 points on this team. I mean, that offensively, we scored 10 points on Jacksonville State. So they came ready. We didn't. That's just what it is, man.
We had 13 drives tonight. 2 of those resulted in scores. 2 out of 13.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we 247 yards of total offense. I mean, come on, man. I don't know. I really don't know how you can sugarcoat that. I don't know. I'm a little dejected right now just because of the fact that, I don't know which direction this program's going in right now. And I know, and I say that sarcastically because, yes, we're on a downward slope in many ways. But at the same time, this is the second year in a row you're 6-7, and you ended your season with a loss to a team that they were playing in the FCS a year ago. They just joined the FBS on July 1st. And then 2 years ago we're 2 years removed from a top 25 ranking and a 13-1 record with the Sun Belt Championship. And here we are sitting here 6-7. And, I just don't know. I don't have much confidence going into next season. Maybe my mind will change after tonight. And I know there's some people out there, oh, you're just being too negative. No, call it what it is. You just lost to an FCS team. So,
Jerry, we were sold on everything will remain the same. This is why we're doing this. Everything's going to remain the same. We want continuity, know the culture, yada, yada, yada. The same ain't 2 losing seasons in a row. That ain't the same. That ain't the culture. At least that's not what I understand it.
Jerry, where was this? What about the revenge tour, Nick? Remember the revenge tour going into the season? We're going to go on a revenge tour because of what happened last year. We're not going to let last year happen again. We had the same record. We're 6-7. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same.
It's the sequel, Jerry. It's the sequel.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. So, look, I'm not on the whole fire the coach bandwagon right now. I know there's a lot of people that probably feel that way. I mean, I do think I will say. I mean, Coach Dez, he's going to get another year. But I mean, it's his job to fix it. It's his job to fix it this offseason. It's his job to make sure that come in next year with a certain mindset. I mean, I know he said multiple times, we're close, we're close, we're close. Well, guess what? At the third year, close ain't going to cut it, man. I mean, it's just, let's call it what it is. Close ain't going to cut it. And what's not going to cut it is losing to Jacksonville State, a new member of the Conference USA, a team that I feel like Conference USA picked out of almost desperation to have members come down and beat you in a bowl game, especially when technically they weren't eligible to be in a bowl this year. It's not going to cut it.
No, I agree, Jerry. Now let's go. I'm going to kind of pivot real quick, and then I'll go to you, Terry. You were there. What was the atmosphere like? What did it look like as far as home crowd versus visitors crowd? Just tell us what your game day experience was today over at the Superdome.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, my dad and I are on the way back right now. He's driving. I'm riding shotgun. We're heading back to Lafayette in this rainy weather. The weather just kind of sums up the emotions right now. Yeah, the atmosphere actually wasn't too bad. I mean, it obviously wasn't the crowds we've seen, the first 4 years that the Cajuns went to the New Orleans Bowl. I'd probably say anywhere from 17 to 22,000 people were in attendance. I'm not sure if they'll up the numbers, by tickets sold or whatever, but went the gate F, had the pregame party with the Cajun fans in one of those ballrooms / reception rooms in the Superdome. It was a lot of fun. Ran into a bunch of familiar faces, bunch of people, listeners of the pod. I actually had a lot of good compliments about our podcast, talking about, one of them heard me talk and was like, "Man, your voice sounds really familiar." And I'm like, "Well, Rager Review? Oh, yeah. So got in a few conversations like that, discussions like that. And the Pride of Acadiana came in, did the pregame. It was really cool. And then once the game started, Cajun fans were sitting on the home side and Jacksonville State fans were sitting on their side. I find that the contingency of fans were very spread out. Not every section was full at the bottom, but you can definitely tell you had your middle section around the 50-yard line. It was pretty compact on both sides, and then it was more spread out. And believe it or not, I thought Jacksonville State had just as many fans as Cajuns fans that showed up today. I would probably say Cajun fans probably outnumbered Jacksonville State by a little bit. But overall, not the numbers we've seen in previous years. I wasn't here in 2021, mainly due to the fact that my wife was like 8.5 months pregnant, so I couldn't make it. But I will say that it was definitely one of the lowest crowd I've seen from a contingency of Cajun fans, mainly because, believe it or not, today's game, the second level was not open. It was only the first level that was open, and then you had a few suites that were open to fans as well, which I had the chance to go up to one of the suites today. But yeah, the atmosphere wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, but it wasn't great, if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
I thought the Cajun fans that were there, they were very loud. Yeah, they were very loud. So
yeah, and to answer your question, Jerry, the attendance, official attendance, was 14,485.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very low. Yeah, that's probably one of the lower crowds, believe it or not. Lower New Orleans Bowl attendance, probably the lowest. Yeah.
And by the way, somebody mentioned on the X app that he did say we are close again tonight on his post game, so we're close. It's like Dennis Allen, just keep chopping wood, baby. Just keep chopping wood.
Yeah, they only count for horseshoes, so no, we're nonsense. When you lose to an FCS call up, I'm sorry, like that's not going to cut it. I mean, that's not going to cut it. I mean, you lost to a Conference USA FCS call up. I mean, how can you after the stats, after they doubled you on offense, they basically out schemed you, out coached you. We had a few bad play calls here and there, playing scared at the end. I mean, how much closer do you have to be to get to the point of where we were just a few years ago?
I get it, man. I get it. Well, thanks, Jerry. Hang on there if you can while you're driving back. Tell T-Boy I said hi and to keep his eyes on the road. Glad he's driving and you aren't, but feel free to.
Trying. He's listening too. Say hi, Dad.
All right, guy. What's going on? Let me run something by you. Listen up.
Go ahead.
I've been around since 1986. Okay, and you get your ups and downs. Now I think NIL has hurt everybody. We probably had 4, 5, 6 kids that would be playing this year, maybe 7 or 8 total. I had to do some counting that hurt the Cajuns, but it's true for everybody else. But look, this close thing only counts in horseshoes. I'm a Dez fan, and I'm gonna give him 3 years. Even with NIL, okay, I think 3 years is enough in the Sun Belt to have a 7-game winning season. It's just my opinion. Okay, it brings a lot of kids back for next year. So look, there's no more excuses for me next year. He's going to lose a few kids, but he's going to bring most of those kids back, I think. So next year, at least 7 games, and then you run out of excuses after that. And I'm a pro Dez guy, and I'm a Dez fan. But on that second to last drive, I think it was, they were running the ball. Number 7, Davis, first guy can't bring him down. You need 1 yard, and you run 2 pass plays. It goes back to trying to outsmart yourself when all you need is 1 yard with a kid that can make it for you. So I question the play calling, at critical times. And like Jerry says, you got beat by Conference USA, who's ranked number 9 out of the top 10 conferences in the country, with a first-year FCS team, and that's the size of it. Their O-line dominated the D-line, the Cajun D-line, and they put 500 yards on you. I mean, I just can't find an excuse for that. Although you had 3 picks for touchdowns, I think, it doesn't matter. You still lost the game. So all the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, like Jim Murray used to say, for the Saints, just doesn't apply in my world. You either win it or you lose it, and that's it. Thanks.
Jerry, get this man a seat and a webcam and have him on every damn show we do. We need more T-Boy.
Look, I'll join y'all sometimes. Look, I was a 9-year-old runny-nosed kid that went to his first USL football game. And I'm going to tell you, it captured me when Howard Bergeron, my neighbor's brother, was the head of the ROTC. He was leading the procession. The USL band passed and stopped right in front of us. I was a 9-year-old kid. My 4th grade teacher's kid was in the band, Richard. And so I got to go back and tell him his cage, hey, I saw Richard. I'm a 74-year-old man, okay? And then the Cajuns, they played the fight song, they fired the cannon, the Cajuns came down, and I was captured. I left part of my heart there, and I went back home and told my mother, I said, Mom, I'm going to go to USL one day, which I did, okay? I went to the big house in Baton Rouge a year later. I saw Mike the Tiger. It was impressive, but it didn't do anything for me. I knew that UL was the place I wanted to be. So I've been around since 1986. And I don't like what's happened to the NIL thing. The world is changing around me. I don't like some of it, but either I accept it and keep one foot in the circle like I'm doing, or I take the other foot out the circle and I go home. I'm not ready to hang it up, guys. So let's see what happens with these changes. Let's see where we're going with this NIL thing. Let's see where we're going to go with the future of the program, because Dr. Savoy has done some, and I don't agree with T.J. Savoy and everything he's doing. I'm going to tell you. He'll tell you that. What he's doing to promote the primate center, the BSL testing, the highest infectious testing disease primate center in the country. It's the largest. The pharma manufacturing thing coming, the other things coming at UL. Dr. Savoy loves athletics, and I give him credit for the Carnegie One academic accolade he got. That's hard to do. Out of 4,000 universities and colleges, there's only 135 of them that did the Carnegie One. That's a huge kudo and accolade. And they're still making strides academically. So look, if you're a Cajun fan, in the future academically, you're certainly going to have a lot to be proud of, and you have a lot to be proud of it now. But overall, I think we need to hang in there with the NIL things like I'm doing and see where this model is going to fall, and let's just see what happens. So let's give Dez another year. Let's not beat up on him too much. I know he's made some mistakes, but the next year is a new year, and hope is a great thing to embrace. And I truly do hope that he can at least win 7 games for me next year. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I agree. I agree with everything you said, and thank you for that happening back in 1986, because for better or worse, we got Jerry out of it, and he drives me nuts sometimes, but I guess he's an okay guy.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
Thank you, guys. Terry, I know you've been holding on a little bit, and look, if you want to go negative, you can go negative. Let's start out with the positives. What positives, Terry, came out of today? Not a whole lot, but we had a few. Tell me what you saw.
The positive is we had 3 defensive touchdowns. That's it.
The positive is our season's over.
that's what the positive. The only 2 positives. Season's over. 3 defensive touchdowns. All right, can I get negative now?
Go ahead, man.
If you are trying to defend, look, man, I've been sticking up for Dez all year. I've been sticking up for the coaching staff all year. If you are a person that defends the way we have lost close games, let me ask you all this: when the game went into overtime, was anybody hopeful?
No, I said that at the beginning. When I wasn't hopeful, I
missed that.
After Jacksonville State scored to tie the game, I thought that was it. I thought we were done, and I was right.
Exactly. And so I saw when Jackson kneeled down, and then I'm at work right now, just so you know, I'm on the ship. All right. So if I had to hang up, it's
no worries, man.
Work related.
We got you.
But I had to go do this work. I had to go to a meeting real fast, and then I came back, and I knew I was going to come back to a loss. Like I knew, like okay, like I'm about to do this for 10 minutes, and I knew I was going to come back. Overtime's going to be over. I didn't know that Peter LeBlanc was going to throw the ball. I didn't know that.
What the hell was that, man?
But I knew that. I didn't see it. I have the game recorded. I'll watch it, later on in infuriation, just so I can share the misery with all of you. But I didn't. There's nothing. All the past 2 seasons, Dez has coached 27 games. Who actually thought this was going to be any different today than the 27th game he's coached? If he brings back this entire coaching staff, if not most of it, what makes you think anything's going to be different? I'm going to tell you like this. It's not the players. We have talent. Dez just hasn't put us in the position to win. He's not moving the needle. He's not making good play calls. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, y'all hit on it. T-Boy hit on it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, T-Boy. Hope to see you. I'm coming to town for Christmas, so hopefully I can see a few fans and everything. Some old teammates and everything for Christmas time. But yeah, like, what are you doing throwing the ball 2 times in a row and then you kick it? Dez has gone for it on 4th down an ungodly amount of times when he never should have. The one time he was supposed to go on 4th down, he kicked the ball. That blew my damn mind. I couldn't freaking believe it. You kick it, and nothing against Kenny, but you kick it, and you've been going for it all year. Against Southern Miss, you were going for it all night. And today in the bowl game, you did get a trophy. Don't defend that. No one needs to defend this at all. And I want Dez to succeed, but no one should ever defend the way this game was called. Bottom line,
we got outclassed in play calling. We got completely outclassed.
Oh, I'll tell you this. I tweeted this earlier. Jack State has got to be the best conditioned team we've played all year. They were so conditioned. Their hurry up. You could tell they were tired, but the speed did not slow down. They were the most conditioned team I've seen play all season. Like over 100 plays, and we still had a chance to win. But I knew we weren't because it's common. It's the CDS, right? We just can't win these games, and it's not. I mean, because we're unlucky, which I feel like you make your own luck, but whenever it's time to close the game out, there's always some buffoonery. That we had a guy. We had to punt the ball. We're about to start with good field position. Then we had a guy get a personal foul, undisciplined BS, and I put that on Dez. I put that on Dez that he allows that. I put it on him that he allows that. He should never allow that. As the head coach, take him out of the game. Take him out of the game.
And maybe we were spoiled with Stinga as our punter for so many years and being so good at that position. But man, our punting game tonight, I mean, we can't keep doing this thing.
I mean, his leg was tired, Nick. He punted like
20-yard punts are that's not it, man.
That is true.
That is not it.
That is true. I mean, I can't. Yeah, I just can't defend anybody that thinks this is going to be a different next year. I mean, look, man, I'm just mentally prepared to get our asses waxed against Tulane at home. I'm just mentally prepared. Like I had to be negative, but that's just the truth. What gives you hope for next year? 27 games, back-to-back losing seasons, lost to a Conference USA school of all things in your own bowl game. That's supposed to be our, and they're holding our trophy. You should never feel like that is acceptable. No one should. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're an alumni, you're a donor. I don't care. You shouldn't accept that. You shouldn't accept that losing shit.
No,
I don't care.
We should be past that, Terry. Like we were ranked. We were the best team in Louisiana a couple years ago, and now we're losing to Jacksonville State in the New Orleans Bowl. I mean, you can spin it however you want, and people are going to spin it. I guarantee you people are going to spin it. But the fact of the matter is, it's 2 straight years that we have losing seasons, and you feel like I feel like this offseason is going to go one of 2 ways, and it's either going to go where Des makes some decisions to let go some of the staff and try to shake things up, basically to save his job, because next year to me is going to be the year that Des has to have some improvement. Okay. And if he does it, there's going to be a problem. So I feel like he's either going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to be keep the current staff, and then we're going to hear how great it is that for 3 years in a row we have the same coaching staff, or we're going to shake things up a little bit on the coaching side, and maybe you get a little bit of interest on, okay, maybe they're going to turn it around and do better at certain positions, especially special teams. Look, I love all the coaches on this team, but nobody can deny special teams was not our forte this season. So
special teams was the worst time.
So I think it'll be telling again. It'll be telling in twofold. One, it'll be telling on what happens with an IL, because some of the guys, look, we only had 2 guys hit the portal so far, because it's our policy. You hit the portal, you don't play. So now that the bowl game is done with, who's going to hit the portal? So that'll be interested to see who we have coming back, because somebody commented, well, at least we have a lot of young guys coming back next year. Are they coming back? They still have time to enter that portal.
There's no guarantee of that.
No. Absolutely not. So that's one thing to watch. And the second is, from a coaching standpoint, what adjustments are going to be made to the staff to put us in a better position to win next year? Because again, I mean, you can't say fire the offensive coordinator. That's Des, right? So all the offensive pulling of your hair tonight, what's going to change next year? What are we going to do differently to put ourselves in a better position to win? And then 2, while our defense really put us in that position to win tonight, we're still playing 10 yards off of receivers defensively when we're up by only 1 score, acting like we're playing prevent defense when we should be attacking the quarterback who's injured and who we've shown through the game. If we bring pressure, he gets rattled and throws interceptions. So what do? We go into zone defense. So,
I mean, Nick, it's insanity. We've doing the same thing for the past 2 years, man.
And we've done it 2 years in a row, like you said. So that's going to be my answer. If we keep status quo coaching wise and nothing is shaken up, and I'm not talking about we're going to reassign a coach to a different whatever. That's not it. If there are true changes in the coaching side, then I think you see a true dedication to turning things around. I don't see it happening, man. I think we're going to be here next year again talking about 6-6 or 7-5 going into a bowl game. I really do. I think that's, unless something changes dramatically between now and the spring, I think this is it for next year. So, and next year is going to be, to me, the deciding year. But again, if you go 7-5 and get into a bowl game, is that going to be good enough for the administration to keep him around another 3 years?
Well, then you get what Josh talked about. The whole Marlin thing. If you you go to a bowl game, you finish with 7-6, 7-5 record. Oh, you'll keep you around. That's I mean the mediocrity and the mindset of the old heads. Within the UL system that have been there forever are okay with the mediocrity. They're okay with just being average.
I get it.
So I mean, Like I don't. The whole coaching staff thing, offensive play. You know how Southern Miss turned their season around. Even though they still finished with a losing season, they changed their offensive play call. Like Will Hall stopped calling offensive plays.
Exactly.
And he placed it in the hands of somebody else and said, "Hey, maybe I got a little too much stuff on my plate. I'm eating too much. Maybe I should just give it to somebody else." And I think that's what Dez needed to do. And I said that last year. I said he has too much to do. He does too much. Maybe you just need to hand over the play calling. Maybe we need to focus on other things. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's going to help everything, but maybe that's a suggestion. I mean, I'm not in his head. But, you know, when I look on when I watch on TV, and I said this before, man, when you see his face on the sideline, do you see a man that's confident? When the game is on the line, and like, you know, you look into his eyes, do you see a confident coach?
You've said that before.
Honest question.
And I don't know. I can't read Des. I really can't. I mean, I do. There are points. I will say today when we got into positions where they were, you know, Jacksonville State was coming back on us, they focused in on Des, and there wasn't a whole lot of fire. There wasn't a whole lot of anything. It was just kind of standing there watching. So from that perspective, maybe that I agree with you a little bit.
But I tell you what, you look at Rich Rod. Rich Rod was fired up the entire game.
Oh, that dude. First of all, let's talk about Rich Rod screaming at his quarterback. I wouldn't have wanted to be in the game either if he screamed at me the way that he did. Now, I agree. I think there should be a little fire, and when you need to get in a guy's face, that's fine. But that dude did it the entire
he definitely
game.
was a little overboard.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. At least he had emotion, right?
Yeah, like I just don't see it. Like where is he? Where is that? You know, he said in the middle of the halftime ULM game that he was mad that we kept doing stupid stuff with penalties and everything. Can I see that? I don't know, man. I want to see something. I want to see something that my head coach, like, is, you know, as equally fed up, which I know he is. He's the head coach. He doesn't want to lose no more than we do. And, like, you know what I'm saying? He was a quarterback. He played for this team, and he loves this team just as much, as not more than we do. And I understand that. But I guess as a fan, I just want to see it. I want to see him just lay into somebody.
I'm with you.
I want to see him just lay into somebody.
I'm with you.
Because to me, it's as if he is okay with just the bare minimum. And, you know, you get a flag. Oh, well, let's brush it off, and, you know, I'll put you back in the game. Oh well.
Well, I think his post game said everything that we needed to hear. It was, we're so close. I mean, we've heard that a little too much.
I'm tired of that.
Yeah, me too, Terry. I appreciate.
No problem.
I appreciate your comments, man. Thank you. Hang on there, man. If you have some time to chime in, but we have a couple others we want to get to. Ryan Landry, you've been holding on quite a bit. Ryan, what is on your mind, sir? Ryan may have fallen asleep. Elliot, I see you request.
No,
there you are.
I'm not asleep. I'm not asleep. I'm sorry. I was trying to navigate through all the traffic over here in New Orleans, and I'm not trying to you know, talk and drive, but here I am.
Oh man.
One of the things I wanted to say, and I kind of wanted to piggyback on Terry's comment, was, you know, it all goes back to the hire. Whenever we hired Dez, and a lot of people were just kind of like, well, we took the easy way out, and it was the cheap hire and this and that. And I do agree that Dez really wants nothing else than to be successful at this job. But whenever Terry was talking about there's no emotion whenever it comes to certain things. Like, Rich Rod is about to have a goddamn coronary on the sideline whenever his quarterback does something wrong. And at one point, and granted, it was before we got the pick six on their side of the field, but it was third and whatever. And their dude just grabbed our defender's face mask and drug him to the ground. And then they called it on us. And then, like, it was like, okay, yeah, everything's cool. But, like, show some emotion whenever the emotion needs to be shown.
No,
the culture is dead. The culture is dead, Nick. The culture is dead.
But Ryan, we were sold on, this is why we made the hire, is to keep the culture. Everything's going to stay the same.
It's dead. It's dead. We are 6-7 the past 2 years.
Yep.
What can we do now? Like, what can we sell now? We can't sell the culture. You're not selling the culture. We just got our dicks fucking drug in the dirt by a fucking FCS team that got to Conference USA that we talk mad shit about all the time.
You're selling
what do we sell now?
You're selling
a
new stadium. That's all we got right now, buddy. We got a new stadium.
Yeah, with an old coach that has the same results over and over again.
So let me ask you this, Ryan, and I'm on the fence on because I would like to say a 10-win season is a good season for us next year. What is success next year? Because I know T-Boy said he wanted 7 wins, but let me tell you, 7 wins ain't gonna make me happy. What is success next year for you?
Well, let me ask you this: if we go back to the New Orleans Bowl next year, we're 2-5, and we don't win but 2 games in the Western Conference or Western Division of the conference, and we somehow miraculously get to the Independence Bowl or the First Responders Bowl at a 500 record, and we beat Podunk State. God forbid we lose to Jacksonville State, but we get to 7-6 instead of 6-7. I'm sorry, like Jerry, I don't mean to be disrespectful to your dad, but that's a bullshit season. Sorry,
but
I need to be at the top of the Western Division, bumping off Troy, bumping off South Alabama, being where the Napier years were every single year. That's not a lot to ask.
I agree. That's where I thought we should be this year, man. And we had the opportunity to be there, Ryan. We were looking ahead to possibly being in the Troy game, battling for the Western Division. And instead, we lost to Southern Miss and Arkansas State.
Yeah, and then Troy. It was 3 in a row, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I know he said 7 wins. I got to have at least 7 wins going into a bowl game to feel okay. But my worry is if we go 7-6, if it's good enough, it might not be good enough for us, but it might be good enough for the people who are paying the bills. I mean,
yeah, well, we don't have too many people paying the bills anymore. We sold 900 tickets to the New Orleans Bowl through the university. 900 tickets. 900. So the atmosphere, don't get me wrong, the atmosphere was good because the 900 that we had was a really good. It's the same people, though. It's the same people that are really passionate, and we care too much. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So what happens after that?
By the way, before you keep going, I just want to say I see Dalen Cambrian in the space, and I want to say, dude, they got it on camera. I've talked about this all night, where the guy was in your face. I think it was on a kickoff. Some guy from Jacksonville State was in your face, and you kind of told him to F off and go back to his sideline. I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate everything that you've done for us. And I still think you should get the ball more. And you've been awesome. So I just wanted to give you a shout out there. I appreciate everything you do. No, Ryan, look, dude, I agree. I agree with what you say, bro.
To piggyback off of what you said, this has nothing to do with the athletes.
Correct.
I love them. I love them. I appreciate everything that they do. I have their back 100,000% of the time, but they need to be put in the right positions. Okay. And I even like I hate to rag on the coaches too, and I feel bad for coining that 3rd and Lamar Morgan thing. But look what happened tonight. Whenever the money was on the line, whenever we needed to stop somebody, what happened?
Yep. Well, we know what happened. We didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So the culture is dead as far as I'm concerned, and I really don't know what else to say.
Me either, brother. Me either. I was struggling to open this because I didn't know what to say. It was just like, that sucked. That was hard to watch. But again, like you said, we love every single player on this team. It is not a talent issue. We know that. We just feel like we feel like the players on this team could be put in a better position to win. And that's not happening right now. And that's why we're pissed off.
And you know how we do that? You know how we do that?
Oh, I know how we do it.
The head man that is the leader of our program makes the correct decisions going into next year.
Correct.
I know that's a very vague thing to say, but he needs to do the correct things going into the next year, so we don't have to talk about if 7 wins is a successful season next year.
I agree. Look, it's not easy being a head coach, and one of I'm sure the hardest things to do is to have tough conversations with the people that you hired. But this ain't a business about being friends. If you want to stick around, you got to make those tough decisions. And I think there are lots of decisions that need to be made. The question is, will they be made? And we're going to find out very soon, I think.
Well, if he doesn't, like I said, the culture is dead.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate you, one, chiming in, and two, attending the bowl game. I wish I could have. I couldn't. So I bought 2 tickets and I gave them away. Half a Rage and Review, but I appreciate you going out there and supporting our guys. And I know players like Dalen, and I know they had a couple of them in the space. They appreciate it too. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, hey, 100%. I love the players. I got their back. But I think they deserve better. And I think that maybe one of these days you could drive 5 hours to a football game so we can stop giving you shit.
And start wearing Cajun stuff. You know what? I keep wearing this because people keep telling me,
you know, thing, man. It's not baseball season, bro.
I'm gonna wear it as long as people keep giving me crap. You tell me to do something, I'm gonna do the opposite. So tell me not to come and I'll show up.
Well, don't come to Cajun Field next year whenever we only got 2,000 people.
I'll be at baseball though. You can count on that, brother.
All right, man.
All right, thanks for chiming in. Josh, you've been holding for way too long, and I know Elliot and Andrew, you've requested to speak, but I gotta hear what Man About Town has to say, because I'm sure he's got some hot takes. So, Josh, if you are around, what's going on, man? What are your thoughts about what transpired?
Well, I had to step out. So, did I miss the narrative of the day that we've lost yet another 1-score game and we're so close? Was that covered? Did anybody come in here saying that?
Nobody did, but I did get your text telling me that was yet again said today.
Okay, all right. Well, no, it is. I mean, I had to listen to Jay's final few minutes of the game because I was in the vehicle, but before he could sign off, there was a 25-minute soliloquy about how we're so close and another 1-score game and it's heartbreaking and we're right there. Well, it's the same performance that we've seen all year, plus 3 defensive touchdowns, and we won the turnover battle by 4. And they're the same people that want to tell me that the game's all about turnover margin. They want to tell me the reason why we lose all these close games is because we keep losing the turnover battle. But we won it by 4 today, and 3 of those went for scores, and we lost to an FCS call-up that plays in Coosa, the worst conference in FBS football. So what is the narrative now? Oh, we're close. We're there. You know, it's right there. One-score games. It's just 1-score games. Napier was great at the 1-score games. Dez just needs to find his footing with 1-score games. I just want to tell everybody out there, if somebody tells you that after 2 seasons of this, run away from them. That is toxic. That is poisonous. That is a loser mentality. We are bad in 1-score games because we are an average football team. Not because we're young, not because, that's just the way the game falls sometimes. It's none of that. It's because we are a poorly coached football team. And I'm not going to single out anybody on the coaching staff. It's not just Dez. It's not just Lamar. We are, across the board, ill-prepared. We still can't figure out substitution packages 13 games into the football season. We still don't know how to audible on the field when we have to keep our packages on. We're still making the same mistakes, misplaying balls, bad time jumps on interception attempts, little details. We've used the word details on this show ad nauseum. We're still horrible at them. At this point, if you want to argue 1-score games, I'm not listening to it. We are who we are. We're a poorly coached football team. Every single person that tells me that the Cajuns are not a poorly coached football team, we're just around the corner, are the same exact people that watch Dennis Allen on Sundays and tell me it's clear that we are a poorly coached football team with our professional team. I just find that so funny. Dennis Allen is obviously a bad coach, but we're dealing with very similar problems here in Lafayette, and it's not a coaching issue. It's just so aggravating. But, no, man, I mean, look, I'd like to know what the record is for people or teams that lose games to when you have 3 defensive touchdowns and 4 turnovers. Has anybody done any research on that since the game has ended?
Oh, I'm sure. I have not, because I was too pissed off and hopped right on here. But That would be an interesting stat to know. If somebody out there in Twitterverse or YouTube can look that up, that would be very interesting to know, because I can tell you, probably hadn't happened a lot in college football.
I mean, it's a poor display, man. I understand we're on quarterback number 3. He's played well. He's played winning football. Did he play his best? No, he didn't. He didn't play his best tonight. But you got to give credit to Jacksonville State. They dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides the entire football game. Their defense was aggressive. They dared him to throw. They challenged our passing game. I mean,
and what did we do, Josh? What did we do after we got up 7? Prevent defense.
We tried to throw the ball.
No. But defensively, what did we do after we went up by a score? We started playing prevent defense.
We did what Lamar always does. He gets soft. Plays not to lose. He doesn't play to win. He plays not to lose. And here's the other thing. What are they doing offensively? We have the smartest man in the room syndrome. 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Bill Davis is running nuts. He's got like a 7 or 8 yards at the time per attempt carry, per carry yardage. And we throw the pass on 3rd and 1 down in the red zone. Throw a pass 2nd and 1 down the red zone. What are you doing?
I get it.
And look, Kenny's been so good for us. I hate for it to end like that for him. I know, Kenny's a good guy, and that sucks. I mean, it just does. It's a bad way to end your career after you've been a great contributor, and he's been good this year in particular. But man, the kicking game has been atrocious. One of the reasons why we lost this game, everybody's going to focus on all the other things we didn't do well. The kicking game was atrocious yet again. Field position, field goal kicking, kick coverage. It's been bad. We've been saying it since week 1. I mean, I can go all night on all the things we did poorly. But, that's why y'all have me here, to point out all the stuff that goes poorly. I'm just sick of hearing people talk about how it's another one-score game and we just can't get over the hump. And it's just ridiculous narrative.
Well,
that narrative is tired and lazy.
I will tell you, Josh, the group of people that are saying that are very slim tonight, because I haven't heard that from a whole lot of people other than the usual defenders.
Well, good, because it's lazy. And I know the players are tired of hearing it, because the players want to win the one-score game. But the players are not being put in position to win. And I'm sorry to say it. And I'll echo what you and Ryan said. I'm pro-player. I always will be. We've always been pro-player on Rage and Review.
Hey, Josh.
I go after the professionals, because the professionals are paid to do something, and they're not getting it done at the level with which they're being paid. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, we are absolutely pro player, and you keep on talking about the people that talk about the one-score games. What does that come down to? It doesn't come down to the players. It comes down to the people that don't want to sugarcoat shit and say the real issues. What are the real issues? The reason that the players are not making plays is that they're not being put in the positions to make plays whenever the game is on the line. The same thing that happened for homecoming last year against South Alabama. The same thing that happened against Troy whenever we were up 17-0. The same thing that happened again this year against Troy. Like the same things just keep happening over and over again. And I was on my soapbox saying, give Dez a chance. He's going to learn from his mistakes. He's learning on the job. Well, you know what? He ain't learned a whole lot, because look where we're at. Once again, 6-7, lose again, one-score game. So I don't know, bro. I don't know.
And it's a mirror of last year. It's a mirror.
Exactly.
It's a mirror image.
So
and
that's
I
what
think
I'm
the
saying.
reasons
So
why
we're doing the same thing, and
we're not getting better.
We're doing the same thing in the opposite way. We need to go the opposite way.
Yes, we're not getting better. And what is it? We always talk about this. You're either getting better or you're getting worse in this business. That's it. And look, again, I think one of the reasons why you can listen to a Ryan or me or Nick, we were the loudest voices in the room saying, Dez is a good hire. Dez knows what he's doing. Give him a chance. We were some of the biggest voices rallying the fan base to give him a chance. So when we come on here 2 years later, after a couple of years of full-bodied work, we've seen what the results are. We're not just hollering and screaming at the clouds like old men because we want to win games. as a whole, the program is not progressing. And that's way bigger than the New Orleans Bowl against Jacksonville State. Let's not even talk about the perception of the program and the PR that we just lost to an FCS Coosa call-up. A conference that is so beneath us, it's not even funny. Did Jacksonville State show up and play well? I thought they played okay, but they're certainly not better personnel-wise, especially not at the quarterback position. I thought that their offensive line was somewhat impressive, but across the board, the Cajuns were the better, more talented football team. And we lost again. This is probably the fourth game that it was clear to everybody on the field that the talent was on our side, and we did not come away with a victory. That is way more concerning than one-score games here and one-score games there and a New Orleans Bowl win. So if you're hearing people talk about the one-score game and development and give Dez a chance and all this stuff, no, honeymoon's over. We've given him a chance. It's time now to make some hard decisions. Maybe they're comfy in that building. Maybe it's time to get rid of some friends. We need to move in a different direction with a lot of these position coaches and try something new, because this is not working.
Josh, I will just add on to that. Sean Payton could be coaching our team right now and have the same results, and we would still be pissed off. So it's not about the man, it's about the results, and it's up to him to change it. And again, we'll know quite a bit on the offseason on if any changes are made or not, how that will go. We will see. Dave Schultz, I see you have requested. I added you. Hopefully you can figure out how to unmute yourself, because we would love to hear your thoughts about how things went tonight. I know you were in New Orleans. So if you would unmute yourself, let us know what you thought, Dave.
Okay.
There you are. We hear you, buddy.
You got me.
Yes,
okay. All right. So I'm going to go the opposite way of all the complaining that's going on here. So overall, that's one of the more entertaining football games I've watched, and it makes
looks like we may have lost Dave. He's still there, but he's in New Orleans. Hey, Dave, can you hear me?
They're playing.
Hey, Dave.
Quarterback.
Hey, Dave.
Center, and their best running back was. And you're gonna tell me?
Oh no, man! I really want to hear this, but Dave is cutting out on us.
Hey, while Dave's cutting out, I just want to say to Dave, running backs, quarterbacks, all that be damned. We had 3 defensive touchdowns, 4 turnovers, and lost the game. We could have been playing with me and Jerry as quarterback and wide receiver, and Nick as kicker, and we still should win that game. I don't care who their quarterback, running back is. That is an absolute disgrace to lose a football game like that. I'm sorry. Especially in your own backyard, 2.5 hours away. That's a home field advantage.
I really hope Dave, can you hear me, buddy? Man, I'm telling you, technology.
Hey Nick, I think Dave's phone had a Rich Rodriguez there on the sideline.
Well, Dave, I'm sorry, man. You cut out on us. If you can get some better, that New Orleans, just like the power out there, it kind of goes in and out. So if you can maybe come back and try to get a better connection, we'd love to hear from you, because man, you sounded like you were about to go off, and I was excited. Elliot, you have been holding on a really long time. I apologize for the wait. Would love to hear your take, man. If you could unmute yourself and let us know what you're thinking tonight.
Hey, that's all good, man. I don't feel like there's a whole lot for me to say, because I'm kind of at a loss for words to this loss. What I will say is, have you ever been to that store in Lafayette? It's called Dirt Cheap. I'll explain why I'm saying this in a second.
I can honestly say I have not been, but I know exactly what it is. So I know what Dirt Cheap is.
Yeah, it's like a consignment store, but I, for one, have actually been there. And when you go inside, you just about have a heart attack, because there's just stuff everywhere. It is absolute chaos in that store. It looks like a tornado hit the place. Well, that store reminds me of this game. It was just absolutely disgraceful. Because, we're playing, I think everyone else has said this, we played a FCS call-up in the worst conference in the league, which, to note, our conference is the Sun Belt, obviously. They had 12 bowl-eligible teams. The Coosa had 4, and we lost to one of them. It's pathetic. This was probably one of the worst games we've had in recent history.
And all of the crap talking, like Josh said, that we've done rightfully so, by the way, because again, they're a terrible conference, and we go and drop this game. Not a good look, man. Not a good look.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing to know that's kind of ridiculous is that our lack of running. Like Jacksonville State, I have their stats open right now. 74 carries, 290 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. How much do we have? 35 carries and 92. And we had 1 rushing touchdown. That was it. And that was the only touchdown we had on all the offense.
And those all came in the second half. That was all in the second half. In the first half, we had like 9 yards of offense, something stupid like that. We had more punts in the first half than we did have yards of offense. Unbelievable.
It was horrible. Yeah. I mean, like, what was I going to say? Yeah, they were outrunning us. They were outplaying us in every aspect possible. They didn't even need their special teams. That's how good they were. How many times did they punt? Did they even punt at all?
They punted a couple times, a whole lot less than us. I'll tell you that. Let me look. I just had it pulled up actually. Let me see if I can find it. But it was stupid. It was like 3 times the entire game.
Yeah, I see ESPN right now. They had 4 punts. We had 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, I think the first step in admitting in admitting that you have a problem is to admit you have a problem. I think we all see it, right? We all know it's there. It's obvious. We're in year 2. We're same, losing record. Look, again, I'll say it over and over again. I've said it in the past. We're all Cajuns. Maybe not all of us are Cajuns, but we're from South Louisiana, and we can tell somebody when they're lying to us and not being upfront. And if you come out saying stuff like, well, but we're so close, well, try to sugarcoat everything, we can see right through it, man. We just want people to be upfront with us and tell us what you're going to do to fix it. Right now, it sounds like there's acceptance instead of accountability. Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to cut in real quick, and then I'll give it to you. Elliot just made a great point that we've kind of touched on before, but we haven't given it a whole lot of attention. When you watch this team, it's abject chaos all of the time. It seems that we play in these chaotic games. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 off the top of my head I can think of this year where it's just total chaos on and off the field. Crazy plays, crazy substitution packages. Think about what ODU did to us on offense. I mean, that was some new stuff, new wrinkles that we hadn't seen, and it turned the game into chaos. Fumble here, fumble there. At some point, we need controlled chaos. And until we get that, we're not going to get consistent results. And the last thing I'll say is we are situationally a disaster. When we need big situations to go our way, almost always they fall the other. Because for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of, I don't know if it's an it factor. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know what it is. But situationally, for 2 years, we have been a catastrophe. At any time a big money down comes or a big money play comes, just a disaster. And that's my last thought on it. I'll let everybody else get in because this is this is for venting. So.
Look, Josh, I'm gonna just say this before you go, Elliot. Andre Ware was the analyst. He was the color guy on tonight's game, and he was questioning some of the decisions that were being made by our coaching staff. I trust Andre Ware to know football. I mean, we're talking about an NFL freaking quarterback. Dude's been around the game his whole life. He knows football. And when he's questioning what we're questioning, that tells me we're on the right track, that we know a little bit of something. We're not all idiots. He wasn't saying, oh, man, great call after running the ball down their throats to throw it on 2nd and 3rd down. He was asking, why the hell aren't you running Bill? He was saying the same thing we were. So we're not crazy. Ware agrees with us, so we're not completely off track with this. Elliot, go ahead with your comments.
I think the last thing I'll say before I let someone else speak is we should have known that things were going to suck whenever we lost to Rice and snapped our losing streak to them out of all teams. Like, that should have been a huge red flag for us. And maybe it was to an extent, but things were starting to look good because we made it to a bowl game, and then we went 6-7, and then we did it again the next year.
I feel you. I mean, we're in the same spot. And look, we're lucky we didn't lose to Buffalo. We let Buffalo come back and nearly beat us. We're lucky to be 6-6 right now. If we were not playing Texas State in our last game, we could very well not have even played in a bowl game.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, that Buffalo game is a perfect example of another chaotic game.
Yeah. I mean, think Georgia State was chaotic. We somehow made a comeback, but still didn't win. But it's look, there are so many comparisons we can make right now to basketball, Josh, and I know you're thinking it, but it really is everything about the coaching situation, about the decisions we're making, about not uncontrolled chaos, not controlled chaos. It feels like the same.
No, we can't talk about basketball. That's a whole other thing. I already got mad haters at the pregame parties telling me that they didn't want to meet up with me and stuff. So let's keep it on football.
Way to go, Josh.
Hey, Josh. At least basketball wins something every once in a while. You can't say the same thing about our head football coach.
Well, let's talk about this tomorrow after we play Big Willie.
Oh,
you coming
God.
to Lake Charles or not?
You got tickets? Because I need them sold out.
Yeah, I do. Are you coming or
All right,
not?
I'll see you. I'll see you then.
All right.
You got 3, Ryan? Because I'll go join you, baby. It's only a couple hours away.
Yeah, you got 2 hours away. You got to wear that Houston Astros jersey, though.
You got it, man. You got it. All right, Andrew, I see you're still with us. I appreciate you hanging on. I know you've got some thoughts about this game, so if you want to mute yourself, go ahead, man.
Still hanging on, baby.
Love
All right,
it.
so we are driving back from New Orleans now. Shout out to my DD. Here's a fun fact that I came across a few years ago. Now, this is NFL, but it'll kind of paint the picture when we're talking about a defensive score. I read that whenever a team has a defensive score, that team will win over 70% of the time. So the fact that we had 3 defensive scores and lost is almost impossible to do. Like I still can't figure out how we found a way to screw that up. But a lot of the guys touched on the things that I wanted to talk about. One thing I will say is shout out to Kenny. Tough way to end the season. Kenny's made some big kicks for us. I saw him and his dad embrace at the end of the game on the sideline. Awesome moment. He was encouraging him. Kenny was obviously emotional. Kenny, if you're listening to this or if it gets back to you, brother, we love you. You made some big kicks for us, and nothing but love for you, man. Don't hang your head. This is not on you by any means. So shout out Kenny. But other than that, man, I'm kind of shocked by the fact that they said there was only 14,000 people there. I would not have guessed that at all. I would have said 25,000 if I was just guessing off of what it looked like. The atmosphere that we had for the people that were there was great. I mean, we were obviously into the game. Jacksonville State, shout out to their fans. I mean, this is a big moment for them. Kind of reminds me of us back in 2011. But it's just a kick in the nuts, man. That's all that it boils down to. And I hate to say it because I'm pro Dez, and I want it for the guys so bad. But at this point, we are who our record says we are, and we're a 500 team because our record says we're a 500 team, and we just can't get over the hump in the big moments. We can't finish games, and your team is a reflection of your leadership, and our leadership is not putting us in a position to win those close games, and that's all it boils down to.
I appreciate it, Andrew. Look, honestly, the crowd looked okay on TV. I know it was only the lower bowl, but you could tell that there were people there getting into it, especially after that little scrum off of the sideline. Jerry, or maybe you, Andrew, can answer this. What happened between, I think, the first and second quarter where some girl was like carted off the field? They were like, yeah, there was a timeout and she got injured. What the hell happened, Andrew?
It was one of the dancers. They had like a little youth cheerleading thing going on during the TV timeout, and one of the little dancers, she fell or injured herself coming off the field or passed out or something. I'm not really sure what happened, but that's who they were carting off the field.
I gotcha. All right. Well, that explains it. We were all speculating that it could have been one of the somebody tried to run on the field or something crazy because they weren't wearing any UL or red for Jacksonville State either. So I appreciate you clearing that up for us. If anybody wants to speak, don't forget to go ahead and request to speak in our Twitter space, and we will give you the floor. While we're queuing that up, we'll give some scores from around the Sun Belt Conference. There were a couple other games that were happening today. Unfortunately, the Sun Belt Conference going 1-2 in bowl games. In the first game of the day, man, Georgia Southern looked really, really bad going into the third quarter. They made it respectable. They did end up scoring a few touchdowns, but they end up losing to Ohio 41-21. Of course, Ohio out of the MAC. And of course, we lost our game against Jacksonville State 34-31. And then a final Appalachian State in the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. They win that game 13-9. I know it's a weird sounding score, but if you watched any of that game, absolutely miserable conditions. It was a deluge through that entire game. Not sure how they were able to get any offense going on. But yeah, congratulations to App State pulling out the dub. We got some games that are happening this week as well. Old Dominion facing Western Kentucky in the famous Toastery Bowl on Monday, December 18th at 1:30. Followed on Tuesday, Marshall taking on UTSA in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. These bowl games get stupider and stupider as far as branding. Saturday, we've got Troy taking on Duke in the Birmingham Bowl at 11 a.m. on ABC. Arkansas State faces Northern Illinois on Saturday as well in the Camellia Bowl. Then at 2:30, James Madison taking on Air Force on ABC as well. At 2:30, Georgia State facing off against Utah State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. South Alabama on Saturday at 6 p.m. on ESPN taking on Eastern Michigan, both 6-6 teams. At 9:30 Saturday night, Coastal Carolina faces San Jose State on ESPN. And then the following Tuesday, December 26th, wrapping up the Sun Belt Bowl season, is Texas State taking on Rice, Texas State's first appearance in a bowl game in school history. So hopefully we can get some more dubs. We did not do, fulfill our end of the bargain, but we tried. We tried as best we could, and things just didn't work out for us. So looks like we have one other speaker that has requested. Let's see what he has to say. Josh Robinson, you are definitely new to the space, so let us know your thoughts about what you saw today.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to ask a question for all of those that, maybe have better football minds than me. I apologize for any background noise. I'm at a restaurant right now. But I just wanted to hear from the Ragin' Cajun faithful how it was to lose to a Conference USA school, a conference that was ridiculed for not being beneath the University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
You're still
caliber.
beneath us. You're still beneath us. You got dominated.
I'll go.
You got dominated, dude. We deal with clowns like you every week, all right?
3-9.
Playing a horrible league. Go somewhere with your restaurant, all right? Be quiet. Go away. Ban him, Nick.
Josh, I'll go ahead and answer this. The fact of the matter is Conference USA is an awful conference. And the fact that we lost to that awful team is why we're here kind of upset tonight. It's not because we lost to a team that was better than us and absolutely dominated us. We lost to a team from a conference that was ranked the second to last. The only reason that you're not last is because of the MAC. You only had four teams bowling in the in Conference USA this year. So congratulations on that. And
Nick,
go ahead.
They were what, the third place team, and we were what, the 10th place team?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to point out as well. We were awful
so
in conference.
Congratulations, dickhead.
Yeah, congratulations. And if they are a Louisiana Tech fan, congratulations on your 3-9 season. Once again, not bowling.
Yeah, that La Tech team got beat by the same team by 40. So whoever just chimed in from the restaurant can lick a goddamn fucking sack of balls.
Conference USA is still an awful conference, regardless of the fact that we lost to one of their teams. But if that makes you feel better,
And here's
congratulations.
another fun fact. Louisiana Tech is 9-27 in the last 3 seasons, and they lost to the same team by 40 while we actually played them in the bowl game, something they haven't been in since, 2020. So, yeah, nice attempt at trash talk, but maybe you should win more than 3 games a year before you can say anything.
Or just have a winning season. Or just win more than 3 games.
Well, that'll start by winning more than 3 games.
Yeah, that would start. Anyway, it's always fun to feed the trolls a little bit to see what they have to say. Appreciate everyone for tuning in on the space tonight. Again, very disappointing to lose to a Conference USA team, but it is what it is. We know where we are as a program, and we know what we need to do, and it's just a matter of seeing if I don't know. It's a matter of seeing if our administration will do what they need to do. Not necessarily administration. If Dez is going to make the difficult decisions that we know he needs to make, and that starts in the offseason, man. That starts sooner than later. They've again got some very, very tough choices, very tough things to do, and we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Final thoughts from anybody out there? Josh, Jerry, I see we got Terry. You guys have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I know Josh brought up the point about the one-score games being close. Look, the reality is first of all, there's 82 bowl slots now in bowl season. Okay, so to me, making a bowl game should be almost imperative for where this program is today and where compared to where it was 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have the bowl slots we have now. I mean, I think we were only down to like 64, 65, or 66 bowl slots back in 2006, 2007 when we were going 6-6, not getting in. Well, now, we played a team today that wasn't even bowl eligible. They got in, or technically not eligible with their transition. They got in because there wasn't enough bowl eligible teams. So to anybody who wants to say things like, well, I remember what it was like to not make a bowl game. Well, now you are making a bowl game almost by default by winning 6 games. That should be the bare minimum. Second thing is, look, the standard's been raised at UL for UL football, okay? Back in the day, we used to celebrate 5 wins. I remember it. You remember it, Nick. We all remember what it was like to really, really stink it up. Our standard's been raised, okay? So all of this stuff about being close, all of this stuff about being satisfied that you made a bowl game at 6-6, to me, you're almost digressing your standard when you do that. So I hope that as a whole, and to Ryan's point about winning more than 7 games, I'm agree with that. I know Dad was being a little bit generous when he said the 7 wins, but right now, to me, with what I've seen these last 2 years, I just want to get to 7 wins. You got to get to 7 wins before you can talk about it. It's just a winning season in general, because the last 2 years have been losing seasons. But moving forward, the bar's been set. The bar was set a few years ago when we were in the top 25. The bar was set when we won the Sun Belt Championship in our home stadium. So now it's time to continue that particular standard, not digress and still be satisfied with digressing, and continue to find ways this offseason to make the tough decisions. I said it after the Monroe game. I'll say it again. Coach Dez will have to make some tough decisions if he wants this program to move forward under his watch. Because right now, look, we were not supposed to lose to an FCS call-up, and here we are talking after the game of losing to an FCS call-up, where if you thought the fan base apathy was bad before, I can about imagine what it's going to be like right now, or what it's going to be like moving forward if we keep doing this. So, look, we got a lot of tough decisions that are going to have to be made in that athletic performance center this offseason. Last but not least, to all the players listening, to all if you're in here in the space or you tuned in, I do want to say to the players, thank you so much for putting on that Raging Cajun uniform. We love you guys. We do this not to bash the players. We don't do this to bash anybody in particular. We do this because we still want to show our support. Days like this, it's frustrating. I know you guys are upset. I know it's hard walking off that field one last time this year, and we feel you there. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we let you know we got your back. When you put on that uniform and you represent us, we want to show that we do support you. So to all you players listening, thank you so much. We love you guys, and keep representing us. Keep being great ambassadors to our university and our community. Josh, Nick, we'll be back this week to talk more. I know we got a big basketball game tomorrow. Hopefully we can come back a little bit happier after tomorrow, depending on how we do against McNeese. But as always, guys, to everybody traveling back from the bowl game, be safe. Nick, thank you so much for doing what you did tonight. And Josh and Nick, I'll talk to you guys soon. As always, y'all have a good night. But Nick, finish us off, man. Josh, I know you got some final thoughts.
Thanks, Jerry. What you got, Josh?
I'm not doing the whole love the players, thank you players. We do that every week. I'm pissed off tonight. I'm not saying that. The players know we love them. I ain't doing that. I'm ending on a sour note because we should all be sour after this. Remember how you feel right now when we start fall camp. Remember when we start in the spring and we're developing and we're talking about the team. Remember how you feel now. The problem is that, like we told y'all a month ago, this was worst case scenario. Losing to this bum ass team is going to set us back from a perception point of view going forward. And that's the truth. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. But the other thing is that Jerry made a point about how people are going to say, well, I remember when we didn't go to bowl games. I also remember when we recruited to Butler buildings and served bologna sandwiches on official recruiting visits. I remember when this program had to give money in paper bags behind the scenes because Nelson Schexnayder was terrified of Dr. A, who was going to try to shut him down one way or another if athletics got any amount of success. We're not there anymore. We've invested millions. We have invested time, effort. We've seen what winning is. We've seen what winning can do for the university. We are light years ahead of that. And then, to top it off, 83 bowl slots. You literally can wake up and be half-ass average, coach, whatever, player, whatever, and make a bowl game. 6-6 should be our floor at this program with the amount of effort, time, commitment, whatever. 6-6 should be the floor. This is, again, 2 years in a row, a failure of a season. Overall, if you think 6-6 and losing in a bowl game is a successful, acceptable result, I don't want you on my side. I don't want to go to war with people like that. That's a joke. That's a loser mentality. There's a bunch of people that never played the game, never played sports, don't know what it's like to compete. And that's my final thought. Let it marinate and let it piss you off. But please come back in the fall so we can do this all over again.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks to everyone who requested to speak tonight, except for that one guy from Bossier City. Could you imagine? I mean, that dude even said, hey, sorry, I'm at a function. I had to step away. You could hear people in the background. He stepped away to try to talk about how great Conference USA was. You live in Bossier City, dude. Enough said. Again, thanks to all of you who joined us tonight. Like, share, subscribe. YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter, all that shaws. That will close out Rage and Review. That will close out our entire football season, I guess. We'll be back later this week to talk about our entire football season. We'll talk basketball, hopefully after we win against the Shyster tomorrow night. Maybe we need to give Dave Schultz in. Dave couldn't speak to us because of the bad internet connection out in New Orleans. I'd love to hear his take. And I don't know. That's about it. That's all I got. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just wanted to say one more thing.
Okay.
Will Wade sucks on hot dog wieners until mayonnaise comes out of it.
Well, that explains the fupa. For Jerry, for Josh, for Ryan, for everybody else who tuned in tonight, we thank you for being listeners and supporters of the Rage and Review podcast. We will see and talk to you all soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.